Yeah, okay. Hi,
Okay,
Rob.
you're good.
Okay. Do I need to do something with my screen or just stay the way I am?
You're good. You can go. You can just like
Okay.
welcome everyone if you want.
Okay. Hi, Team Joy. Hi, everybody. Hi, Robin and Elizabeth, Katrina. Um, who else? Kristen. I'm so glad that you guys have taken the time to join us for a couple of minutes here on a coaching call with Megan. Megan, thank you so much for your time. We are so grateful to be on one team all together and building team culture. So this evening, we thought that it would be a good opportunity to talk about duplication of building our teams and encouraging each other in the skill set of duplicating Me+3. So without further ado, Megan, thank you so much for hopping on tonight to talk with us about this. And really, if anybody has a question regarding anything, it doesn't have to be on this particular theme, please shout it out in the chat. No problem, this is to be conversational, so don't be shy.
Yeah, definitely. I'm an open book and I'm pretty informal, so feel free to ask any question. If you have questions that even pop up on talking, just either maybe pop them in the chat because sometimes it's just faster to field it that way, or you can unmute and interrupt me, that's fine too. But my name is Megan and I am friends with Hannah. I'm trying to think when we first met. Goodness gracious, I think it was actually you guys met my parents at a conference somewhere. I think the story goes that William came up to my mom and is like, "Are you Mary Miller? I've been to meet Chris Miller." Which is those are my parents. But anyways, my dad has a farm and they do a lot of like rotational farming and just different things like that. And so we kind of they connected first, and then I think probably Father Son Camp is where I met Hannah originally. And I was actually very pleasantly surprised because I thought she was going to be like this super serious stoic person, and she's really not. So has a great laugh, great sense of humor, and you guys are so blessed to be on her team. Okay, so anyways, all that to say, I've known Hannah for quite a few years. She was actually one of my very, very, very first Plexus customers, I think March of 2015. So she was a customer, and then they went overseas, and life gets crazy, and you sometimes swing in and out of things before you realize the value, right? And so she came back actually to restart their products, but also to work the business. I remember popping on a Zoom or a Facebook Live, I think right after we got back from Hawaii, and we kind of just did like a, hey, this is a scoop about the Plexus business, here's the deal. And then that's when I remember you joining for the business and not just the products. And she restarted. So all that to say, lesson learned there is people do restart. So if you have anyone that quits your team or quits being a customer, people do come back around, especially if you are consistent and committed to your business and also committed to these products. So my story started in 2015. I think you probably all know my story, but basically I was sick from mold toxicity, worked with a naturopath for almost 2 years, was very skeptical of Plexus, but had heard about it from multiple people, and finally was like, oh, hello, it's about gut health. I'm in. So that was, basically, I was very, in with the products once I understood what they were about. And so I basically started binge watching and listening to videos so that I knew that my network was Crunchy Moms, and I would be getting questions like, well, why is Probio 5 better than what I can get at the health food store? How is BioCleanse magnesium different than Natural Calm? So I felt like before I could really share, I had to have answers to the questions. And obviously before, by the time I started sharing, I didn't have all the answers either. There was a really awkward conversation I had when my aunt was standing in my kitchen, and she asked me specifically why Probio 5 is different. And I was like, but what I learned from those little experiences that I had was that it's all a learning curve. So if you get thrown a question you don't know the answer to, it's okay to say, I don't know, but I'll get back with you. Or when you get when you get a question on Messenger, it's actually easier because you don't have to even say anything. You can just leave it unanswered, go research, or go ask your sponsor, or go look in the back office, and then come back with an intelligent answer, or do a three-way message with your sponsor and say, hey, I am new at this. Hannah's a lot better explaining. I'm going to pop her in so you can chat with her and ask questions. Okay, so you do not have to be the expert by any means, but as you get asked questions, you will start to kind of formulate your own answers, because you'll find that the questions are pretty much the same questions over and over and over again, which is why I always add and tag people to our One Team page, because it is a gigantic resource. And basically any question that people want to know about is answered in there, because I've already answered it. So that's the benefit of that group, because it is such a well-rounded resource, because it's been, around for about 5 years. I'm a little out of breath because I'm 36 weeks pregnant with baby number 7. So forgive me, I get talking fast and then I get out of breath. But I noticed a lot of health wins, and they were tiny little health wins, but that was basically the basis of why I started sharing. And then I knew enough about the products to know that they could massively help a lot of people. And I saw that little seed of faith was planted in me, I don't know, probably the first or second month after I started the product. So I didn't fast start silver or anything like that. It wasn't really part of the system to get people sharing right away necessarily. I mean, I think that was probably everyone's goal, but it wasn't like my sponsor was saying, hey, you joined, let's make you a post, right? And I probably actually would have done it if she held my hand and said, hey, if I send you what to say, will you make a little post on Facebook? But we didn't really have that system back then. And so my journey to silver was a little slower. But once I went silver, it was game on, because I was kind of dabbling up to that point. My background was, I believed in supplementation. I was a little bit of a crunchy mom. I loved learning about health and wellness. So it was kind of a natural outflow anyway, but it was very organic for me to share. Ask Maddie to help you with it. Yeah, you can. Just ask Maddie. He has a can of mandarin oranges. You might have trouble getting that one open. But anyways, so I started dabbling, just sharing randomly on Facebook, basically. And pretty much no one commented or liked on my posts. But I would get these I would get messages. Hey, Megan, does that stuff help candida? I've struggled for years with yeast infections or whatever. And so the consistency of me sharing, I felt like I was educated. I'm like, oh my word, look what I just learned. And I was so excited about it. I think that's probably what attracted people to me initially, is because I was so excited. And so my business, I didn't view it as that at that point, but people started coming to me because I was posting on Facebook. So if you're not posting consistently on Facebook, do it, because it works. I mean, I was so encouraged when I heard Jessica Heffley built 99% of her business off of Facebook, because I was like, well, I can do that. I'm a busy mom. I'm homeschooling. I'm home with 5 kids, and they're all under the age of whatever it was, 9 or something. So I the thought of business or having to go somewhere and meet people, I was just I can't do that. But I can post on Facebook. I can use that platform to educate. And so the fact that social media is free and anyone can utilize it, and you can contact a lot of people really, really fast. The traditional way of network marketing is, one-on-one or meetings or things like that. But social media is so awesome, because you can let people know really fast all the things, right? And so for a few months that worked well, but then it started to dry up. And so then I had to do the scary thing, which I felt like was scary at the time, of messaging people that I didn't know if they were actually interested. But Jessica Heffley got in my headspace and said, you don't know who's praying for an answer, and you might be the answer to their prayer, because you're willing to be brave and reach out and just ask if they're open to learning more about it. And sometimes it just takes that initiation of conversation for someone to be like, oh my word, I totally have been watching your posts. And you will get that as you start messaging people. I mean, yes, you're gonna have a percentage that say, don't answer. You're gonna have a percentage that say, no, thank you. And then you'll have some that say, oh my word, I've totally been tracking with your posts. Tell me more information. Or sometimes they're like, yeah, I'm ready to get started. What do I need to do? So it's just interesting when you're willing to step out and do the scary thing, which what's actually scary, right? It's not like people are going to come bite off your head for messaging them, but it's opening that conversation. And I feel like when I message people, I want them to feel honored that I reached out to them, right? And it could be, you could frame it in a way like, hey, I don't know if you've seen my posts. I don't even know if you're interested. And I'm actually really freaked out to even message you about this, but I'm sharing Plexus and people are seeing a lot of health results. Like our own family has noticed, and tell them and then say, hey, if you or even someone you know could be benefited from this, I would love to, share it with them or share it with you. Just curious what your thoughts are. So like, even using verbiage like that, I feel like it's not slimy. That's not scammy. It's just like opening the door. And if they're not interested, like they don't feel weird because they could be like, oh, thanks for thinking of me. Like if I don't think it's for me, but if I know of someone that that I feel like I could connect you with, I will totally send them your way. You see how that verbiage isn't like, hey, have you heard about Plexus? Where it's just, creepy or whatever. So, okay, we were going to talk about a little bit about duplication. So that's kind of the gist of my story. So once I went silver, I was like, game on. And I viewed it like, wow, this could actually turn into something more than helping a couple people at church. And so my mindset shifted, one, when I went silver, and two, when I watched Jarrett Abart's Diamond documentary. If you haven't been watching Diamond documentaries, go watch them because you'll start to believe it for yourself. You'll watch these people and you're like, oh my word, these people are normal people just like me. They have busy lives, they have families, they have, dreams, desires. They're regular people. There's pretty much every demographic represented in Plexus. And if your demographic is not represented, then you get to be the first one representing that demographic. So do not just say, oh, I could never be a Plexus Diamond because I don't have blonde hair, or I don't wear big earrings, or I'm chubby, or whatever. Like whatever mindset block you have of why I can't, you need to say, this is why I can, right? And we have a sweet gal on our team, Amy, she's in a wheelchair. And we were like, how awesome for Amy to be maybe the first representative of a Diamond ambassador in a wheelchair that's added value to a lot of people and has helped a lot of people, and to be able to be that representation in that demographic of saying, you don't think you can do it? Well, I'm doing it, and this is my life. So that's the cool thing, is it can be for anyone, right? So I went gold 2 months after I went silver, and I basically ranked up. So the story of my journey was I ranked up every 2 months. So I definitely had the pedal down. I saw the big picture and I was like, okay, game on. How do I get to Emerald? I want the 6-figure income. We wanted time freedom. That was what we were after, not necessarily money per se, or a Hawaii trip, or a Plexus Lexus. Like, especially back then, my mindset was, I just want to help people. Like, I want to help people get healthy. I want to help more people, and that translates into XYZ in Plexus lingo, right? And we wanted Justin home instead of gone all the time. We wanted to get out of debt. So our house, we paid our house was this tiny farmhouse that we renovated before we actually gutted before we got married. And then we ended up having to gut it again when we had the mold. And I was, at the time, I was just freaked out, take everything out. We are cutting out drywall. We are ripping out all the carpet. We're putting hardwood down. And so it was $40,000. And that is a big amount when regardless of what your financial, situation is. We were almost done paying off our house. And then boom, remediation, $40,000. We had to take out a loan for it. And we were just like, we hate this, but it is what it is. We need to fix the house. And so we were single income. Justin made good money. And that was one of my hangups, even with the business, is how do we share the business? Because it wasn't like we were totally, completely strapped financially, but we were strapped from a freedom standpoint. We wanted him with the kids instead of just me feeling like a single mom with all these boys, and I kept having babies, right? And so we started to see bigger picture. If these other normal families are doing this, why can't we? Right? And we had to move past, there's so many mindset shifts and fears, and we were praying for answer, thought Justin would start his own contracting company where the boys could work with him. Never in a million years would we have decided or chosen to do, network marketing. Let's be a weirdo and, do some sort of MLM business. But when you see health change, You see other people's health change, there's a compensation plan, the integrity of the company, like everything just aligns. And then there's people joining your team and you're like, okay, well, Lord, maybe this is it. And I actually took a friend talking to Justin. He's like, at what point are you going to say this might be the answer? Because like you've over doubled your income. Like at this point, maybe you're just scared of the security part of hanging on to that old job, you know? So there was a lot of shifts, a lot of fears I had to overcome. I'm a very fearful person naturally. And I mean, you guys see me now as like popping on and like I can talk and, you know, share with people and talk in front of crowds or whatever. But like when I started, I was very much introverted, very scared of what people were going to think of me. So I felt like if you feel like you're having to overcome mountains of fears or doing a bunch of scary things or things that feel outside of your comfort zone, welcome to Plexus, okay? Because once you get over one hump, one obstacle, there's going to be another one, right? And so even regardless of where you're at, like even now, where I'm at now, there's still days when I decide to reach out to people and I'm like, what do I say? I'm kind of freaked out to message that person, or how do I approach them? Because they might think I'm weird for reaching out or whatever, you know what I mean? So there's going to always be some level of need to overcome something, right? It's just life. So anyways, that's kind of the basic gist of my story. So I started February 2015. I went Emerald the next year in March. So I guess 13 months later, but that was 13 months from when I started the products. So I went silver in April and then went emerald, 11 months later. So that was my journey. And then it took me, I was stalled out because of my mindset for another like 14 months. And then I went sapphire. And then I went diamond the fall of 2017, I believe. So yeah, I'm coming up on my 3-year diamond anniversary. And then we worked hard to get Justin's team to diamond also. So he went diamond in June. So everyone's journey is so different. Justin's took him longer. And he says a large part of that is because he had skill set to learn and he had to gain a different mindset and he had to work through those things. So, and you're also working with people. So there's like multiple factors going on also, right? So I was going to talk really quickly about duplication, but let me look really quickly to see. Oh yeah, Trina, you said the second person you chatted with said, I've been praying for something to help me. I know. And it's like confirmation when you have those little tokens for good, because it gives you, what's the word? Like a little bit extra, like, oh my word, okay, I'm doing the right thing, right? When you have some sort of little win like that, little token for good, because you're like, okay, I'm not crazy. This is not just in my head. And I also, this is something else that I did, is I guess had enough faith to foresee when people were going to come back and thank me for sharing with them. Not that it's all about people thanking me, but I could foresee, like, you know what, I'm sharing not for the negative Nancy's or not for the skeptical people. I'm sharing for the people that actually are tracking with what I'm sharing and are going to end up saying, you know what, thank you for changing my life. Thank you for giving me an opportunity, or, you know, whatever the things are. And I mean, there's multiple people, and you guys, Hannah, anyone that's on your teams that is having even a tiny little health win, that's such a boost, right? And you're like, okay, this is why I share. When we get in person and do little events, hearing people's health stories, like, they never get old. Hearing people's financial stories, they never get old. And you start to think, man, like, it's really humbling, because you think, what if I wouldn't have shared? What if I would have been too scared about what other people thought of me to open my mouth or to let people know what I'm doing? Because really, I realized that my fear was very much based in selfishness, because I was so scared about what people would think of me, instead of like flipping it outward and be like, you know what, who can I help? And so that little mindset shift made such a difference in my urgency to reach out and let people, and just tell people, you know. Yes. Okay. Do you guys have any questions so far about anything I've said? I mean, it's basically me just sharing my story. If not, I might just go ahead and talk a little bit about duplication. Do you guys feel like that would be helpful? If we want to go a different direction, I can field some questions there. Or if you've thought of any questions that you're like, oh my word. Okay, I'll just keep talking. Stop me if you think of something that you have a question about. Okay, so in order to grow a team, we have to do two things, right? Well, actually, let me go back to the basic gist, like the fundamentals, right? Make a post, make a list, message, invite. That's what basically you did to go silver, right? Or you called up your three, super close friends and said, hey, you're doing this with me. Okay, so make a post, make a list, message, invite. That's what you did. Okay, now there's two things in order to grow a team, and now this is different. So network marketing is not just direct sales, right? Direct sales is basically customers all the time. You're always looking for customers, and you're needing to fill that funnel all the time. Network marketing is where you have customers, but also you also invite people to share as well, whether they're just sharing like with their mom or their BFF or their hubby and getting like a +1, or they're maybe in a different bucket of like, I'll share with a couple friends, like I'm totally fine, I'll post on Facebook, let's see what happens. And that, so you have your dabblers, right? You want to help to go silver, help cover the cost of their products. They don't even necessarily view themselves as working a business, right? People don't have to work a business to share with some friends, right? And then you have your other bucket, which is, yeah, I'm in. I'm a business person. This makes sense. I'm an entrepreneur. They kind of have that mindset. And so, yes, you're recruiting, right? You're getting people signed up on the product, on your team. But then the other piece of that, which is really, really, really important, is the duplication piece. And that is how you will massively not just start adding to your team, but you will actually start multiplying and seeing exponential form happen on your team. And then when you figure out that magic, which is not magic, when you figure that out, then that's where things start rolling. That's where things get really exciting. That's where momentum comes in. That's sometimes where it gets really scary, because you're not able to just control all your people, right? And there's people joining your team that you do not know who they are, or people's people. But that's where the residual income comes from, okay? And so this me +3, that's the simplest way to think of this is, I'm gonna help 3, and I'm gonna help my people help 3, okay? But not every single person is gonna help 3, right? But it starts with the mindset of, who can I help 1? Who can I help go silver? Who is willing to make a post, make a list, message, or invite someone, right? So the things that you're doing that you want to duplicate with people, but you're not necessarily, like if they're not joining for the business, you're not necessarily going to say, okay, here's what we're gonna do, and then like force them into something that they're not wanting to do, right? And so it's kind of an organic thing that you can do with people, where it doesn't feel weird, it doesn't feel forced, it's just very casual and very slow, okay? So typically what I do, I'm just gonna walk you through my process. So when I'm getting someone signed up, typically I like to sign them up on the phone. Sometimes it's not always feasible to do that, right? And then the process of signing them up, okay? So this is a piece that I missed for like 2.5 years of my business, is I was not asking people if they were willing to share, or if they had thought of anyone that these products could help. Okay, so if you're missing that little piece, that may be why you don't have more duplication on your team. Or if you're brand new, just keep this in your memory bank of like, I'm gonna make it a priority to talk to every single person about sharing. And guess what happens? When you do that, at first it feels really awkward, and you're like, hey, what are your thoughts about like maybe telling your mom or whatever? Like, it's sometimes awkward at first, but it will become more natural. Like, you may be forcing yourself to share with grandma that's like 95, and she's not going to ever share, but you're not sharing because you don't necessarily think she's going to share with anyone, but because you need to get better at your little elevator speech thing, right? Not that it's a speech, but you know what I mean? Like, verbalizing it more, because you can like rehearse it in your head, but unless you're actually practicing the words, I don't know, maybe y'all are more like smooth with your talking. I'm not so much. So it felt like for a while, it was just awkward for me to bring that up, especially if I knew they were starting for products, right? There's a level of uncertainty, but this is my mindset now, is I want to know what they're thinking in light of that. So in the course of the conversation, when I'm signing them up, I'll just say, hey, what are your thoughts about sharing? Like, do you know if anyone of these products can help? Like, I literally ask that. Hey, you know, do you have anyone else in your life that might benefit from these products? And, you know, all this time, like, we're chatting about their health issues, right? So this would be the conversation you'd be having. For me, the majority of the people that have been joining me are like people for products, okay? Because I haven't necessarily led with the business. And if you are a business type person and that's your jam and you lead with the business, that's awesome. And if you are more of a product person, you need to force yourself also to sometimes lead with the business so that you do get those highly influential, success-driven, you know, business-minded type people on your team, okay? But I'm just sharing where I think the majority of us are at. It's easier to share products, okay? Or it is easy for me. Does anyone else resonate with that? So my goal is to find out what their thoughts are, okay? And so I will just let them answer. And sometimes they'll have an objection, or sometimes they will just say, you know, hey, you know, I want to try the products first, and that's totally fine if they want to try the products first. But now, instead of just saying, okay, no worries, and then like moving on, I actually press into that conversation a little bit, and I say, well, hey, when I started, so you can use the feel, felt, found method. If you haven't listened to Sarah Robbins talk about that, write that down so you can go listen to her quick little Zoom or whatever YouTube video on it. But like, find a way to resonate with them. Like, oh my word, I totally felt the same way when I started. But what I found was that as I started the products, like, God just brought people to my mind. Like, Jody has IBS. Jody also wants to stay home with her baby. So-and-so has thyroid issues like I had. So if someone else has chronic yeast problems or whatever, you know, so like people started to come to my mind. And so I was just like writing on a piece of paper, and, you know, you never know, or you might be surprised at who comes to mind. And so sometimes I just press into that conversation a little bit more. But anyways, I will also, in the course of the conversation, when we're chatting about, you know, hey, have you thought of anyone that this could help? Or sometimes I'll just say, they'll be so excited, like, oh my word, I'm so excited. Okay, your order is processed. You're all good to go. I'm going to add you to our resource page, and I'm going to send you your starter instructions. Hey, one thing really quick. If I sent you what to say, would you make a little post on Facebook and just tag me in the comments? So sometimes it's like just banking on that excitement and just saying, hey, would you be game for making a little Facebook post if I sent you what to say? That wording right there is like the clicker. If you just ask them to make a post, most people will be like, no. But if you're excited and you actually say, if I send you what to say, people will say yes. Most people say yes to me with that particular verbiage. Even if you don't ask them the question about what are your thoughts on sharing. Even if you go straight to the, hey, would you make a post on Facebook? And then help them work that post, okay? So you make a post, make a list. So once they've made the post, then I will actually help them work the post. So if they get a like or they get a comment, I'm like, oh my word, you just had a like. Let's message that person really quick. This is what you should say. And I type out what they need to say to that person. Say, hey, Brandy, thank you so much. Like, I so appreciate that you liked my little Plexus post about the supplements I'm starting. That is so sweet of you. Have you ever heard of Plexus? Okay, so I'm actually sending them the verbiage to say, okay? So I'm helping them work the post. Sometimes the post is a dud, right? Depending on algorithms, depending on a lot of different things. Maybe they're Facebook stalker and they don't ever post on Facebook, who knows? But sometimes that's the winning ticket, right? They can go silver just off of the post they make. Other times, we have to do a little bit more work. And so then I will say, oh my word, you just made a post. That is so awesome. And, you know, you help them work it. And then from there, I will say, well, hey, would you be game for making a list and just like grabbing a blank piece of paper or like a sticky note tonight and just sitting down for like literally 3 minutes and then just jotting a list of like 10 people that you feel like could benefit from the products of the business. Like, what are your thoughts about that? So you help them make a list, right? We made a post, we made a list. And then I'm going to, after they sit, do that, I'm like, oh, okay, sure, I can do that. I say, well, hey, once you get the list, send me a picture of it really quick. So do you see how much I'm like in the trenches with them, having them do these tasks? Okay, I'm not giving them all of these things at once. I'm just like bouncing back and forth. And once I do that, I'm like, okay, well, hey, and we can go one of two ways with this. Either I will say, well, hey, I can send you a little like invite message or a message that we could send those people just to see if they'd be open, since we might as well get you a couple of accountability partners to start, because you help 3 people get started this month, you'll make like over $300. Like that would more than cover the cost of your products. Plus you have the accountability piece, which is going to help you be more successful. And so see how I'm kind of like encouraging them to do this. Like it's natural. It should not be awkward. This is not selling stuff. This is just sharing with close people in your circle. So I will either craft a little message for them and say, hey, hey, Trina, I just started these all natural supplements. I don't know if you saw my post, but I am really looking for a couple of accountability partners, and I thought you might be interested in starting the supplements with me. I was just curious if you'd be open to learning more about them. Okay, just kind of like a general little message like that. Or I say, hey, well, what if we did a little Facebook party, or a Facebook, what do I call it? Facebook group. And I just share my story. I love to share my story. You don't have to do say anything or anything like that, but I could just host it for you. You could invite those 10 friends. Let's just see if they're open. What are your thoughts on that? Okay, so the list could actually be an invite list for a Facebook party. And then they basically would get the referral bonuses, right? You could say, hey, well, you'll get referral bonuses if these people start with you. So how awesome would that be? I'll do all the heavy lifting. I'll share my story. All you have to do is send a little invite message out. Would you be game for that? And then you send them the invite message that they blitz out, and you make a little Facebook group. Literally 20 minutes. It's like you share your story, post a couple posts. They're on the team page, right? You guys have seen those. And then help them follow up with the people afterwards. The key to that Facebook group thing is making sure you're in 3-way messages with their people that have said yes to the group or yes to the little party. So, yeah, if you have a BFF or a mom or a sister or someone that could be like, okay, hey, it depends on your relationship with the person, but like if you have an ambassador that just joined and you're like, we need to do a Facebook party for you, you can totally get that referral bonus. Sometimes you just have to be lay it out there and say, hey, I'm doing this for you. Okay, but with more of an acquaintance person, that would probably come off as pushy. So it's just like using those social intuitions, right, to know who you could like jokingly kind of push, and then who would be more like asking if they're open to something like that. So make a post, make a list, message, invite, and then you help them work the people through the funnel, meaning you don't expect them to know how to follow up with people or know what to say or even know how to get someone signed up, right? That is my job, and I'm helping them do that. Okay, and this is for someone that's not necessarily joining to share or to work a business, but it's a very organic way to help them share. So you're basically like working with them, working through them to help their people. So getting right in 3-way messages is hugely helpful, because this is what I've noticed is it's not like most people are willing to share, but they're scared, they're insecure, they don't know what to say, and they really have no knowledge besides trusting you, their friend, to start some products that you recommended to them, right? That's usually how it goes. And so for us to be like right away, oh, hey, you want to share? It can be a little daunting for people unless you're just like making it super casual, super, like a slowish process. These types of people you would be treating differently than, like, for example, a new business builder that's joining for the business, that wants to be added to 10 groups, that wants to know all the details, and you can blitz through that in a 1-hour session at the coffee shop and basically lay it out there for them. You know what I mean? So it's like that balance of, I have my new babies that I really want to help organically duplicate, and then I have some runners. And you may be in the space where you don't have runners yet. Until you have runners, then you develop and work with the people that you have currently on your team. And so if you have not been asking people the question, or helping them, seeing if they're open to making a little Facebook post, swing back around to them. Even if in the beginning maybe they said, oh, I don't want to ever sell anything, you can swing back around and just say, hey, what are your thoughts? Like, I know you're having good health, you're having some health wins. What if we made a little post on Facebook? What are your thoughts about that? And then craft a little post for them. Like, it doesn't have to be like some copy paste thing. You can just, like, off the top of your head, say, basically make a post for them and use their own health wins and say, well, hey, what does this look like? Would you be willing to just copy and paste that and put a picture with it? So does that help? That's kind of like my system. It's a very, very much of a people-driven system. So it's not like I'm plugging them into a group and then saying, there you go figure it out. I mean, you will have some people do that. You'll just have some people that sign up and then just kind of get it. But it's like my friend Emily was saying, she's like, it's like teaching our kids to read. She's like, my oldest two, like, they kind of learn to read by osmosis. Like, I helped them some, and then boom, they're off to the races. They now read like at the college level, and they devour books, right? And she's like, my younger two, she's like, this is like an ongoing 3-year process of me sitting with them. It's like kind of laborious, kind of tedious. But she's like, you'll have like the go-getters, and then you have the people that need to, you'll hold their hand a little bit more. But out of just percentage-wise, like, you will have some people that you work with closely that get it. And then they're like, oh, this is what I do. And when you spend time teaching people that system, guess what happens? They do that with their people. And yes, it's work on the front end, but that ends up duplicating down within your team as you build your team. And so I will just say, just based off of numbers, when you go super silver, try to have at least one person silver, or maybe you have 2 or 3 people that have added 1. So you have a tiny bit of duplication going. And it really starts by asking good questions, right? When you go gold, try to make it your goal to have at least 2 people. That's about 10%, right? And that's a good silver ratio. So you're not just like full force, only focused on personal sponsoring, but you're also working with your people to find out, and if they're willing to share. And sometimes, I mean, the way people go gold is very different. Some people go gold and they have 3 personally sponsored people, and then they have a lot of duplication. Other people, and this was my stories, where I pretty much sponsored all 20 and figured out the duplication piece later. Or there was just some people that by osmosis, like, kind of got it and started sharing alongside with me. I think because they saw what I was doing, and they were in the team page and they were seeing some stuff about the power of 3, getting your products paid for, things like that. A baby or a runner. Let's see. Just looking at the comments. I've already thought of 30 people who could really benefit, not confident on how to reach out. Oh, yay. Okay. So that's a great thought, or a great, well, not that it's a question, but the people that I think of or thought of in my first, like, couple of months, well, however, I still think of people. So they go on a list, right? So in my journal, boom, I have a list. I have lots of lists. So that make a post, make a list, message, invite, that's still my system. It's very simplistic. But I would just, I will literally jot people down a note card if I hear them complaining in person about their health problems, or I see them complaining on Facebook, or just think of someone that I know needs the business. I reach out, and I feel like the more vulnerable we can be, the better, because people track with that. So I will literally say, hey, I was praying this morning and you came to mind. I don't know why exactly, except that I can't get you off my brain, because I keep thinking of you in light of my this Plexus business thing. I feel like you would be really, really good at it, and you come to mind several times in light of the business, and I've been too scared to reach out to you because I'm afraid. I don't even know why I'm afraid. But I thought I should just reach out and see if you're open to learning more about it. If you're not, that's totally fine. But if you are, every Thursday night we have a little Zoom about it. So curious what your thoughts are. Okay. So that's kind of how I reach out. I just feel like it's like talking to someone in person. If I'm going to reach out about the products, it can be something like, hey, I don't even know why you're on my mind, but I've thought of you multiple times in light of the Plexus products. This is what I've seen in my health. is what we're noticing with the kids. And I just thought if you were at all intrigued, I should get you some information or get you a sample. What are your thoughts? Does that help? Sometimes it just helps hearing how other people verbalize it. And sometimes we can get stuck in that space where we have all these people on our brain or they're on our paper, but then we're like, well, what do I say to them? So I think it's just like, speak from your heart. People track with you sharing your heart with people. Well, people like the business without using the products. I guess my thought is, like, with Plexus in particular, like, I feel like a lot of people use the products and that's why the business works. Like, they see health results, and then when you have health results and you have your own story, like, there's your sales pitch, for lack of a better word. I mean, I know there's been people that have joined specifically for the business, but we always recommend that people are products to product. I feel like that is just like kind of a given. Like, if you're going to sell something, you want to be, you want to be using the products. Now, I will say my friend Gretchen, who I totally just did not reach out to because I thought she would never ever do this. And it turns out she did do this, and she did it for the business. But she always struck me as, like, super poised, very well spoken. I knew she would, like, do great at the business if she saw the value in it, but she wasn't on Facebook. So I was like, there's no way. Like, how do you promote this without social media? But my husband talked to her husband, and they were, like, seriously considering another, like, income stream for their family. And so we had him over for dinner, and she, like, drilled Justin on all the things because she had a bad experience because she's a sign language interpreter. And so she, like, got roped into something, and it was like it was like a secretive come to my party thing. And then, here, let me spam you with my business opportunity type of thing. And so she kind of had that, like, negative viewpoint on network marketing. So anyways, long story short, she started the business because, one, she had enough knowledge to know how the business worked, but she knew the products were good. So I think you might have some people that, like, research the product secretly, or they just trust you because they know you're a crunchy herbal type person. And so what she had done, they had lost a baby, and I think it threw her into, like, researching health. She was just, like, in that recovery season and period of time in her life, and so she was researching supplements and health and different things. And so she's like, oh my word, the Plexus products are exactly what the protocol is in this nutrition book that I'm reading. So, like, I know the products are legit, they're great, the price is awesome, so this makes sense from a health standpoint. Okay, tell me about the business. So you will have people that know enough about the products to know they're good, and then join because of the business. Oh yeah, some people you might approach only for the business. And that doesn't mean that I won't get them signed up on products. They have to order a welcome pack, right? So usually people have some level of health goals, right? How long okay, we're doing fine on time. So sometimes I will approach people just about the business, and it might be something like, hey, I know you're already in the health and wellness circles, or hey, you own a gym, I know you're already, you have a network of people that want to get healthy. The Plexus products are fabulous. What are your thoughts about this business? Like, I could totally see you rocking the business. I'd love to chat with you more about it. And so I think also when you have people in your network that are naturally, or not naturally, but they're success-minded, they have a big network, they already have their own business. I mean, business owners are great people to reach out to about the business because they're already thinking, like, multiple income streams, like, that's not weirdness to them. Sometimes I feel like when our whole niche market is just like stay-at-home moms this is totally like profiling stay-at-home moms, but have never had a job or a business or whatever. Like, the mindset is a little different than people that are already in the workforce, that already have their own business or whatever, you know what I mean? So I think we can't just assume everyone has our mindset or, that kind of thing, realizing that for a lot of people, second income stream is super smart. How often do you check in with people who have just started with the products? I naturally checked in with Hannah almost daily, but I'm finding myself having to message many people. I want to check in, but I don't want to be annoying. Yeah, I think that it's important for us to initiate follow-ups. So I really like, oh, what's her name? Jennifer Leaf. She's hilarious, but she talks about really staying in close contact with people from the time they order until the time, well, their first month, but like every day messaging them until their products come. Oh my word, are your products there yet? Or hey, oh my word, I just watched this video about the triplex. This is what's coming to you in your mailbox any day. I would love to hear what your thoughts are after you listen to it. So just popping in some sort of little tidbit, or hey, did you see we're having that little health Zoom tonight? You should totally pop on. I know your products aren't here yet, but this will be phenomenal. Okay, but you will have people that follow up with you, and then most people you will not check in with you, and so you have to do the initiation. So if you haven't looked at Emily Gibson's follow-up in the first 30 days, it's a video on YouTube, Emily Gibson, go listen to that. And then also we have a graphic. Hannah can pop it in your team thread, but it basically gives the verbiage of what to say, and it actually capitalizes and like goes in the back door from the objections and addresses them before they actually have them. So like by week 3, you're saying, hey, oh my word, do you have detox popping up? Are you bloated? Are your sugar cravings increasing? Sometimes by week 3, this can be like the crazy week. So it's almost like you're expecting and sharing with them before they have to say, oh my word, like horrible gas this week. You're saying, hey, this is totally normal. Week 3, check it in. How are things going? Is this what you're noticing? And so you're actually verbalizing that. Hannah, are you raising your hand? Do you want to unmute?
That was a mistake.
Oh, okay.
But yes, I completely concur with kind of being proactive on the side of detox. That's been a big issue, especially I think Kristen started a thread for her team, which was so smart. And it's basically the detox thread every day, which has been so helpful for, I think, right, Kristen? But yeah, it's just being proactive and letting people know what to expect, because otherwise you feel like you're just constantly reacting, and that's no fun. So that's my 2 cents on that.
I was gonna see if I could snag that graphic really fast, if I can see it really quickly. Does anyone else want to pop in a question really fast?
Y'all can unmute if it's easier. Go ahead.
Oh, here it is. That's weird. Why did it not let me? Oh, there we go. Share my screen. Okay, so how to follow up in the first 30 days. So this is actually giving the verbiage. Like what questions to ask, like where you're saying, do you feel like you're taking your products consistently? Are you drinking your water? Actually asking how much. Are you pooping 2 to 3 times a day? Okay, so asking specific questions, right? And then by week 3, you're saying, hey, if you notice anything like fatigue, sugar cravings, or bloating, don't hesitate to reach out to me. This is actually a sign that your body is healing itself. Okay, so anyways, those graphics, if you type in follow-up on the team page, they'll pop up. And then Emily Gibson on YouTube, it's awesome. She kind of shares her verbiage. Yeah, you could totally start a thread with your ambassadors. I think sometimes people don't love, you'll have some people that like hate group messages. So don't feel bad if they like get out of it. Or you could ask them first. You could say, hey, I was going to make this little message thread with, the people that have started Plexus products with me. I thought it might be helpful just to bounce ideas back and forth to get some, just to have some camaraderie and some, you know, the group feeling of doing this together. You know, would you like to be added? So you can always ask permission before you actually add them to something. But I think it's great because it does start to build team culture. And you might find that some people like pop in and encourage or give ideas or helpful hints of like, oh my word, I totally had that 3 weeks ago. Just keep going. So like the third party validation piece can also be really valuable. Did I get, okay. I'm just making sure that I didn't miss any questions. Any other quick questions? I guess all part of the momentum, either Brooke's momentum group or my momentum group. You guys all in that?
Yeah, I don't think that anyone is in Brooke's momentum group, but I think that everyone's gotten an invite to the One Team momentum group, right? Everybody? If I haven't sent you an invite, please let me know and I'll add you to that.
Mm-hmm.
It's so, so valuable.
I encourage people to check in to that. There's IPA like little checklists. I'm only posting it 3 times a week in the month of August. I just felt like it was just simplifies it a little bit more. But for accountability for IPA, there's actually something you can print off, and it's a little checklist. So if you want to really start working your business a little bit more systematically and in a more organized way, that might be really hugely helpful to you. We do have 3 opportunities each week where you can do a Work With Me Power Hour. And some people are actually afraid of popping on these, but don't be afraid of it. It's just a Zoom like this. And there's different leaders on our team that host them, but they're all really fun girls that host them. And they basically just give wording advice. They like pop the wording in the comments and then say, hey, okay, this is who we're going to message. Boom. You have 5 minutes. Let's get the messages sent out. And so what I've heard, the feedback that I've heard is like, oh my word, this is so helpful. I'm not overthinking it. I'm getting the stuff done. And so if you haven't popped on something like that, I would highly recommend those power hours. And also Thursdays at 2 p.m., Justin and I do like a live coaching where you can pop on Zoom, or you can just pop on the live stream on that group and have access to us. We do Q&A style. Sometimes we'll just pick a topic and train on it for a little bit. But those are hugely helpful too, because it just gives more perspective, you know, so you don't feel like you're alone or whatever, some even unconscious fears or, you know, things that you feel like are you might not even realize they're holding you back. It's just like, oh, wow, I didn't even think of that, you know, thinking of that in a different way, you know. I was wondering if we know if all Plexus YouTube videos have closed captions. Not all of them. I do know that it's been highly, highly requested, and I know that some of them do. So you can check into those, and I know Brooke and Emily do closed captions on all of their videos because they do recognize that there's a deaf community that loves Plexus and wants to share with their people. Yeah, you might go to YouTube and look for the ones that have closed captioning. Yes, okay. You guys all have a goal for this month mapped out? You can unmute and tell us. Gold. Robin wants to go gold. Awesome. Or are you super silver currently, or where are you at? Kristen, what's your next goal? Hannah's going senior Ruby. Yes.
I guess I'd be going gold.
Okay. That's exciting.
Sound very confident though, did it?
What's that?
That did not sound very confident though, did it?
Is that the first time you verbalized that?
Oh, probably. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tell all your people, your mom, your BFF, your dog, your hubby, your kids, or whoever. I'm going gold this month, guys.
Working on the hubby. He's being stubborn.
Mm-hmm. Justin didn't join until I think it was the month I went gold.
Yeah.
And I signed him up, and I told him what I did.
I'll get him. I'll win. Don't worry.
Elizabeth, what's your goal? to be more consistent. That's a good goal. Trina doesn't have a goal of a number. I just want to see all my loved ones try this. Robin is silver, but I have one, we have a, okay, and you want to be super silver. Okay, good. So just numbers wise, sometimes it helps to have in our head what the ranks are. So silver is 3, super silver is 10, and then gold is 20. So I encourage everyone to go gold. I'm like, everyone has a network of an average of 500 people. So helping 20 people, 20 friends, that's gold. And the average income is about $1,000 a month, give or take, based on what your personal volume is. But like, how awesome is that to be able to help people, to get compensated for that, and be able to impact lives like that. So it's super fun. And I think that it's also important to kind of know your numbers, so you know how many ads you need this month. So what I a lot of times will do is get as Post-it notes. But you guys have probably seen my Post-it note system. I actually have my whole door covered in Post-it notes. But it really helps me visually like wrap my brain around it, because I like color code them. So like my personally sponsored people, I have 6 of these babies on my door. Okay, I have 1 so far this month, but I want to personally sponsor 6 people. Right? And then I have multiple people that are new that I want to help them, you know, help one person. Or, I mean, sometimes it's just like a game to me, like, ooh, I wonder if I can help Beth go silver. She already signed up her husband, but I can help her get 2 more people, you know? So sometimes like even making it into a game of like, who can I help? Or, you know, how can I, you know, encourage them to get out of their comfort zone and make a post or whatever, you know? So if you don't have that kind of like mapped out on a piece of paper or a sticky note where you can see it every day, and like have some blank sheets that you're going to pray over and fill in, that's been hugely helpful to me, because it just makes it visual, right? I think we all benefit from that. Robin's goal is to help 3 friends sign 3. Awesome. Kristen, how many orders do you need in order to go gold this month?
I think 8.
Okay.
Maybe. Might be 9.
So it's basically like a countdown from 8.
Right.
So you could get these 8 sticky notes posted, and just know that like, well, I could sign all 8, or I could sign 5, 6. Actually, you want to sign 6 so you get that fun sweatshirt. And then be like, well, if I add 6 and I help one person go silver, boom, there's gold.
Yeah. I definitely have a list, of the possibilities, for sure. My mom is on board. I just have to literally go to her house and do it for her.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't done that yet, but I'm gonna do that tomorrow.
Yeah, no, my mom's the same way. Like here, 5 years in, I still order them. Or she's like, I have like 5 collagens. Can you like change my order? I'm like, well, I set you up on a subscription, so you're getting free perks. And yes, I can change your subscription. But yeah, I do it for her.
And I think my mom can sign up. My daughter signed under me, so I'll have my mom sign under her. I think that still works for me, right?
Mm-hmm. It's always best to sign level 1s, but if you're specifically helping like a specific person go silver, so like maybe you sign up your hubby, so maybe you sign up your 6 and you get the bonus and all the things, and then you're like, ooh, I'm going to sign up my hubby, put 3 people under him or 6 people under him, and fast start silver him or fast start super silver him. Then you like kind of double dip. But I don't actually recommend like stacking people unless it's a little blitzy time period like that.
I made that mistake last month by signing someone I could have signed under myself under somebody else, and I missed the triple bonus by 1.
Oh, bummer.
Had I not done that, I mean, it's still good. It's all good, but
yeah,
one of those silly mistakes that I'm like, I should have done that differently. But
nothing's a failure if you learn, right? Sometimes we have those moments of like, ooh, oops, I should have not done that. Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, we've been on for an hour, so I should probably let y'all go. Thank you for popping on. I hope this was helpful. Sometimes it's just helpful to like be together, ask the questions, mindset, brain space. Hannah, do you have anything else you wanted to say or share?
Well, I just want to say thank you to everyone who took an hour out of your evening Megan, thank you. I know you're getting super close to your baby, so thank you for taking the time. We so appreciate it. We appreciate you every day. And thank you to each one who is on tonight, taking time out of your evening. I'm so grateful for each one of you and how the Lord has knit us together through this. It's just awesome. And I'm so excited for each one of you, and I'm praying that the Lord just prosper and bless each one of you in your homes and your Plexus businesses, and to be continued.
Alrighty. Okay. Well, thanks for popping on, Hannah. I'll get the recording up for you so you can share with anyone that wasn't able to pop on.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Night, girls. Have a great night.